Good. Well, today is Friday, April 4, 2025. Update for Monday the 7th. All right, let's go. Well, another decent day in the portfolio. It's kind of nice to keep your head while everybody else is losing theirs. Of course, I'm not being shot on Friday. I had to pull my kids' college funds, what's left of them at least, from based on a TFM 10% system. That's what I tracked that with, just for what it's worth. So if people ask me, it's like, okay, I'm getting longer term signals triggering as of today. Anyway, one setup in here, so better than a poke in the eye, I suppose. A gold stock. It looks okay. It's a nice little TKO type of move, and it doesn't have much, or doesn't have any overhead supply, I should say. A lot of the other golds do have some issues longer term. Sorry about that. But you can see there are a few golds in here that are setting up. Super speculative would be something like NAC. But longer term, it does have some issues, but that's a long, long time ago. For now, let's just stick with this WPM. Of course, wait for an entry because gold got whacked today, as you know. It's a kind of a baby with the bathwater kind of day. Let's take a look at the portfolio real quick, and then we'll pop out to the overall market. Nice slide in CCL off its worst levels, but a nice slide nonetheless. Make sure you trail and stop on all of these. I rolled down in the options just for what it's worth. JBL, nice little slide there too. Well off its worst levels, but a decent slide nonetheless. TPR banging out that IPT before reversing, so that's obviously a good thing there. Let's take a look at the overall market and drill down a little bit. It's just ugly. It's like I keep grabbing sector after sector I want to talk about, but it's like, ugh, just look at the overall market. Down another 6%, so that's obviously really, really ugly. Longer term, getting a little ugly too. We're pulling back all the way back to the middle of, or early, I should say, 24. So you've given up almost a year's worth of progress. That's always a bit of a bummer. Look at these weekly bow ties come together. We could see a bow tie to the downside fairly soon. That's happening quickly. NASDAQ Composite, 6% there too, or nearly thereabouts. Pretty serious slide, obviously, remaining in place. Take a look at the Rusty, kind of same as it ever was, down 4.5%. Ugly day there too. Kind of impressed that the market didn't really bounce going into the close. I expected a little bit of short covering, but I guess a lot of people are still looking to get out of the way. Here's an interesting thing. Copper, which had been doing well, imploded today. So much for possible copper stocks. Now, getting back to individual stocks, I noticed that some of the ones recently as potential longs, the Landry 100, that we did not go after for various reasons, one of which the market's sliding, right? They just have been absolutely annihilated as of late. As you go through these sectors, as you would imagine, one after the other is just getting creamed in here. That's cybersecurity. There's bots. Take a look at internet, just banging on new lows with vigor. It's kind of a reoccurring pattern throughout. Biotech, look how ugly that is. Broker-dealer continue to just absolutely implode. Gold to commodity coming back in a little bit, but so far it looks like it's in a decent uptrend. Gold stock selling off fairly hard, but that's what's provided us with this TKO type of move. Now, make sure you wait for an entry, and that's why I love the TKO so much, especially when you have a textbook one, kind of like that WPM. It's like if it goes all the way back up and triggers, then you might have a bona fide reversal. If it keeps imploding, then no capital gets put into harm's way. Speaking of capital in harm's way, look at the transports. Defense is pretty impressive because just about a week or so ago, it was right here at all-time highs. And this is why, again, not to beat the dead horse, but you don't want to chase relative strength in a bear market, unless it's something like, of course, gold that could trade contrary to the overall market. Mags continues to implode down into the 6%. Oil service, look at that. Absolute implosion down into the 12%. Leisure, as you would expect, CCL, what's the VIK, RCL, all these leisure stocks just getting absolutely annihilated. Take a look at major drugs. This is another example of why we didn't chase this relative strength, even though it was looking a lot better than the rest of the market. Robotics and AI continue to bang out brand new lows with vigor. I'm not going to bore you and go through all these, I promise. Sky computing or cloud computing, banging out new lows again with vigor. Let's just take a look at the SIBIs and financials, and we'll wrap it up. Semiconductors, look at that, down another 7.5% plus. It's just ugly, 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 ugly. And then financials, which were improving not that long ago, again, relative strength, and we're looking a little better. But nope, they too got torpedoed. So obviously it's ugly out there. Market is super, super duper oversold at this point. If we take a look at the VIX real quick, it is super duper stretched to the upside. Now that in and of itself, you don't want to rush out and buy a market just because the VIX is stretched. Look at that, 117% away from that 10-day simple. And that's the biggest move that we've seen since August of last year. So I would expect a bounce at some point on Monday. Don't be a hero, though. That's just an intraday thing. Do not position trade for something like an an overall index bounce is what I'm trying to say. So don't buy the market just because it's bouncing, other than possibly an intraday trade. I think that's it for now. If you have any questions, I will be around throughout the weekend checking in on Facebook, so feel free to hit me up there. If not, everybody have a great weekend. Thank you so much.